The excessive shedding is a shock to the system, and if that's what you're going through, you need Hey guys, welcome back. I want to say what's up to all my subbies, and I want to say what's up to all the newbies, maybe checking me out for the very first time. I really appreciate it. Come on in. We're going to chit chat really quickly about a couple of things, okay? And we're going to get right to it, okay? We're going to get right to the meat and potatoes because I want to address this and make sure that we're all on the same page as far as breakage versus shedding. So in my last video, I was talking about Olaplex number 3. And basically it's a treatment. It's a treatment for hair that helps to build the bonds in your hair. So you have protein treatments that do the same thing. There are lots of things out there that help to build your hair. I've gotten a couple of questions as far as shedding hair. People who are having issues with their hair shedding maybe a little more than usual, at least that's what they believe. And I wanted to address that and connect that with the products that address breakage and not shedding, because there's a difference. And most of us know that, but let's just go over it. Breakage versus shedding. First of all, what is the difference? Okay, so with breakage and shedding, both are normal. Yes, both are normal. Now you don't want to have an excess of either, but both are normal. With breakage, you can have breakage. Breakage is the short hairs, okay, that you would see on your counter, okay? And that's usually after you manipulate your hair in some type of way, whether it's combing, whether it's brushing, whether it is dragging your hands through your hair. All of these things can cause breakage. Normal breakage, just normal manipulation overall can cause a little bit of breakage. Nothing to panic over. That's what normally comes with the territory as far as, manipulating your hair. You don't want a whole lot. We're not talking about excessive. We're talking about normal. Okay, same thing with shedding. Shedding is normal. Your hair normally sheds. As most of us know, your hair goes through a growth cycle. There's a growing phase, there's a stationary phase where nothing really happens, and then there's a shedding phase, okay? And normally you shed about 80 to 100 hairs per day, which may sound like a lot, but it's actually normal considering you have thousands and thousands and thousands of hairs on your head, okay? So about 80 to 100 is normal. And when you comb your hair, and again, manipulate your hair, you shampoo your hair, a lot of that hair is shed. A lot of the hairs that are normally shed will show up during this time, okay? So you may see longer hairs on the counter or wherever you do your hair. You may see that, or as you shampoo, you see it going. There's nothing to panic over. And do I want y'all to count the hairs every day? Absolutely not. Don't count the hairs. 1, 2, 3. That's what your hair normally does. It's already gone through the cycle, so it's shedding those hairs to make room for new hairs. Everything's a cycle. So that's normal. Now excessive, let's get into excessive. Excessive breakage and excessive shedding, okay? So excessive breakage, again, we pretty much know it when we see it. So it's the short hairs, it's usually the ends, and you see a lot more of it. You can even hear it as it's happening. The breakage, sometimes you hear a pop, or even in like my last videos, if you're really rough with the mechanical part of your regimen, such as brushing and combing, you can hear it pop. If you're one of those who sort of powers through combing and brushing your hair, okay, even though you have tangles, you can have excessive breakage. If your hair is dry, if it's brittle because you put too much heat on it, okay, if you have too many chemicals, or if it's over processed. So these things can bring about excessive breakage, okay? And again, you know it when you see it. You know it when you hear it, when you hear that pop. You can feel it, when your hair is dry. that can lead to breakage. Now, excessive shedding, that can be caused by a myriad of factors, okay? Excessive shedding, it is usually caused by a shock to the system. Something is off, something has shifted, okay, and something's not connecting, therefore your hair is shedding more. Now, the term for excessive shedding is called telogen effluvium, okay? Telogen effluvium, which means excessive shedding. And excessive shedding is basically your hair falling out. That's why I always, when I refer to what happened to me with the iron deficiency, my hair was falling out, a lot of it, okay? So that's it falling out. Some of the factors that can lead to excessive shedding would be, it could be environmental, okay? The changes in the weather, in the seasons, okay, that can cause it, believe it or not, hot to cold, cold to hot. It's a shock to the system. It could be hormonal, okay? A lot of women, after they've gone through pregnancy, we've heard it, we've seen it. Some women shed a lot of hair, they lose their hair on the sides, and they talk about their temples and their edges. That can cause it as far as a hormonal imbalance. It can be caused by a lack of minerals, a lack of vitamins. With me, it was a lack of iron. I had an iron deficiency, and that's what caused my hair to fall out. Excessive shedding, or my hair to fall out. It can be caused by stress. First of all, you're not supposed to be stressed out about anything. I know that's easier said than done. But if you carry a lot of stress in you, your body's going to react. Your body's going to react in different ways. And one of the ways that it can react is by shedding that hair. It's a shock to the system. Certain medications can cause excessive shedding. Certain medical conditions can cause excessive shedding. Okay, and also the mechanical part of your regimen. It really can. If you're blow drying, again, if you're brushing and combing and blow drying excessively or in a rough manner, that can cause your hair to shed a lot more than normal. Age can also play a factor. We know that as we get older, our hair thins out a little bit for a lot of us. A lot of that is genetics playing its part, but it can also be related to age. So I wanted to go over these two different things because, again, going back to the protein treatments and the Olaplex and protein treatments can deal with breakage, okay, because it strengthens the strands. Anything that sort of builds the bonds in the hair and strengthens it, reinforces those bonds, that can help mitigate breakage. As far as shedding is concerned, these products will not necessarily address the shedding because there's so many different factors behind the shedding that these particular products they're not specifically built to address shedding because it's more internal. Shedding the hair, again, is your body dealing with some type of disconnect or trauma, okay? Trauma or shock to the system. So I didn't want anybody to go running out buying different conditioners or protein treatments or anything like that thinking it's going to address the shedding, because first you need to find out why you're shedding in the first place. That's very, very, very important. You really need to figure out why your hair is shedding excessively. Okay, and again, we know the difference. If you start to see your hair thin, that's what I went through. It seemed kind of gradual. I did notice a whole lot more hair going down the drain, but I just figured, okay, I just sort of shrugged my shoulders at that. I didn't really notice anything until my hair was thinning. As I said before, I could see my forehead through my bangs. I noticed in the back, it was, my hair wasn't acting right. It was starting to lift up on its own, almost like static cling. It wouldn't act right, wouldn't keep still, wouldn't act right as far as styling. And then I was having a casual conversation with somebody, and they were talking about their aunt eating ice. I connected the dots. I eat ice. Maybe it's this whole iron thing. So losing your hair or shedding, excessive shedding, it may not be obvious in the beginning. Okay, but that's why I want you guys to stay in touch with your hair, stay in touch with the cycles of your hair, stay in communication with how your hair looks and feels. It's very important because it's all connected as far as this health game is concerned. So I say all that to say is that shedding, okay, is not going to necessarily be able to be dealt with or addressed via protein treatments or Olaplex or, or moisturizers or conditioners or anything like that. We have to figure out why our hair is shedding. That's very important. And I'm going to keep saying that. It's very important because it could be anything. And if it's health-wise, then we need to get back on the track as far as the health. If it's environment-wise, as far as winter, because our hair does shed a little more depending on the weather. So if it's that, we can sort of deal with that because we know that that's a short-term thing, okay? You may see a little excessive shedding. That's nothing to really worry about per se, okay? But when it comes to health or being deficient in any of the minerals and the vitamins that we need to hold on to our hairs and to have a healthy growth cycle as far as our hair, we need to address that. If that's stress, we need to get rid of the stress. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that y'all need to get rid of your kids and, divorce everybody and be in a hole somewhere. We need to lessen the stress in our life. I know that's easier said than done, but it's all health related, so it's all we got to get connected to our health. If we're being too rough with our hair, we need to stop being rough with our hair, but we need to figure out why we are having excessive shedding. If that's what you're going through, then we need to figure out why. Because again, it may be short term, but we need to figure out why our hair is shedding so much. Okay, and again, we need to know the difference. Shedding, normal shedding, you should see a couple of hairs every time you comb your hair or whatever. You should see a couple of hairs here and there, so forth and so on. Now, if you have a whole drain full of hair in the sink or in the shower or wherever you do your hair, it's time to pump the brakes and start assessing what's going on and what's missing in our regimen, including our dietary regimen. Okay, now if things really get out of hand, it's best to see a doctor. Okay, it's best to see a doctor. That way they can pinpoint whether it's a trichologist or a general practitioner. It's best to go to a professional and really see what's going on. Again, you don't want anything to go unaddressed and then it progresses. We don't want it to progress. Okay, we don't want it to progress. We're worth it. We're worth the discovery. We need to find out what's going on. We really do. Okay, because if it's health oriented, then it's more than just hair at that point. So we really need to address everything. So I wanted to come in here really quickly and just say, because I don't want you guys running out and buying a whole bunch of protein loaded products or treatments that address breakage, thinking it's going to address shedding, because the two are not necessarily related unless you combine it with other things. If you address the breakage and the shedding with other things, like knowing where the shedding is coming from and then addressing it with diet and this and that, then you can do the 1-2 punch. Okay, my hair is strong and it's not shedding. I am hitting it from both sides. Boom. But to buy these products, these protein treatments and other treatments, thinking that it's going to address shedding, I don't want there to be a misunderstanding with that, okay? Because you can build the hair strands and address shedding at the same time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that these products that you're buying to address breakage are going to address the shedding as well. Does that make sense? And we need to know the difference between regular shedding or normal shedding and excessive shedding, okay? And that's, again, being in communication, being incommunicado with your strands. Make sure that you're staying on top of your health. We need to get enough sleep. We need to be eating the right things. We need to be eating protein, okay? Not just slapping it on our heads. We need to be eating proteins and carbs, no crash dieting. That can cause excessive shedding, where you're drinking water only and eating 2 grapes a day and a half a cracker. It's not good. Don't do that. No crash dieting, no dieting, severe dieting as far as that's concerned, okay? So shedding, again, that's the release of the entire shaft of the hair. There's a normal cycle to it, but we know that if it's in excess, then that is a shock to the system. We need to address it. We need to address why we're shedding, okay, in order to get to the what and the how. Meaning, why are we shedding, so we can get to what we can do to address it and how we can get back to health, okay? So that wasn't too bad, right? We were in and out, and I really appreciate it. Let's get back to health. We got to keep each other encouraged, okay? And that's what we're here to do. While we're all on this journey, let's make sure that we can identify and address the things that need to be addressed so we can all move forward in a healthy, healthful way. Okay, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for dialing in and showing up. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back. We'll be talking about some more stuff as usual. So you make sure you come on back, because you already know it's going to be the same Dolce dial. It's going to be the same Dolce channel. So you come on back.